Welcome viewers to Historical Journeys. Inside an agonizing Middle Age estate in northern Britain, a gathering of reestablishers are working diligently resurrecting the ignored structure. Yet, when they strip off layers of mortar, something extraordinary is concealed underneath. Furthermore, as they investigate the perplexing markings, they understand that they've coincidentally found what they'll perceive to depict as a truly epic revelation. Somewhere inside an old villa, specialists found a mentor chamber shrouded in weird markings. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It only takes a second, and you won't miss any of our future videos. Let's get started. For quite a long time, Calverley Old Corridor has been a premonition presence in the Yorkshire town of Calverley. In a mediocre chamber on the Habit's popular narrative, the group found hidden from as far as possible back in Tudor times. Also, what could it at any point educate us regarding individuals who once lived here completing dull deeds that actually resonate many years down the line? Behind the creepy exterior of Calverley Old Opening, a few surprising insights are ready to be uncovered. The starting points of the way are remembered to trace all the way back to the 1200 years, when the Scott family relocated to Calverley, about 10 miles northwest of Leeds. In the end, they changed their name to that of the town, establishing an association that had kept going for very nearly 600 years. Be that as it may, over the long haul, the family's status developed for certain individuals becoming judges, and even knights, and turned their fortune likewise improved, permitting them to grow their once unassuming home into a fantastic house. Then, nearly 80 years after the fact, an especially strict individual from the Calverley family redesigned the extraordinary corridor and built a sanctuary bordering the house. What's more, when one mid-16th century heir required space for his 17 posterity, the design was additionally ventured into a rambling home. For a lot of Calverley Old Corridor's history, however, towards the start of the 17th 100 years, things took a vile turn. What's more, for a long time subsequently, the way in its occupants attempted to rise up out of the foreboding shadow that had settled over the shopping center. At last, in the 1800 years, the Cavaleys left their Yorkshire house for good. At that point, the top of the family had previously deserted their hereditary home, settling rather in another house old about 3 miles away. And when the old entire was purchased by new proprietors during 1754, the Cavaleys' association with the structure was at last cut off. Under the responsibility for Thornhill family Calverley, Old Corridor was separated into a few properties, its lobbies and chambers changed into houses and shops. Inside the previous estate, however, time generally stopped. Truth be told, even as the hundreds of years passed, the cabins held a significant number of the first highlights of the noteworthy corridor. What's more, today, the structure's an odd mixed bag of 20th century plan and Middle Age design that is practically special in all of Britain. In 1981, Calverley Old Lobby was bought by the Milestone Trust, a preservation good cause that attempts to safeguard noteworthy structures by transforming them into getaway homes. In any case, the remainder of the structure stood void for a long time as its new proprietors thought over how to foster it. The Trust's Carolyn Stanford made sense of in an authority articulation. Lifetine and C's in a portion of the houses likewise kept further redesigns from occurring. However, the Lifetine and C's had got done, and the Milestone Trust started to take a gander at ways of saving and re-establish the whole structure, wanting to find a planner with an imaginative way to deal with this uncommon task. Authorities declared a worldwide challenge, and at last they chose a plan by Cowper Griffith, a firm situated in Cambridge, Britain. The CO, as per the Milestone believes site, the focal point of the overhaul will be another getaway property, melding the protection of Middle Age texture with contemporary plan. In many spots, unique elements, for example, mullioned windows and 14th century chimneys, will stay, while thoughtful fixes will make an agreeable present-day space. In the incomparable corridor, for instance, designers intend to eliminate the segments that once isolated the room into cabins, re-establishing it to its previous brilliance. The main story will be adjusted into a front room, complete with shaft roofs and the affectionately re-established hearth. Essentially, the first plan additionally contained plans to thump through an opening into the contiguous parlor block where one of the property's rooms will be found. Also, it was in this honest room, as opposed to the excellent environmental elements of the extraordinary lobby, that the habit's mind-boggling mentor secret was at last found. With these plans set up reclamation work at Calverley. Also, as the specialists did their careful work, scraps of the habit story started to arise. Afterward, up in the top of the estate, laborers coincidentally found various odd ancient rarities reserved inside the overhang. This large number of disclosures, however, failed to measure up to what the group found secret inside the parlor block, presumably developed at some point in the 1600 years. This segment of the estate comes up short on high roofs and tremendous chimneys that knock some people's socks off in different pieces of the property, and on a superficial level at any rate, it shows up indistinguishable to endless different bungalows that litter England today. Truth be told, the parlor block of Calverley Old Corridor could have gone neglected by and large if not for a few routine fixes. There on the uncovered pillars were various markings that specialists couldn't distinguish from the get-go. Obviously, there had been various alterations made to the house throughout the long term, including mortar work that was introduced during the 1800s. Later, during the 1930s, a cutting-edge chimney was added, and afterward, during the 1970s, the walls were hounded with a bringing shade of peach paint. However, these markings didn't seem to be the ordinary transformations that you could track down inside a centuries-old home. What's more, when they took off segments of the mortar in the second-story room, bits of a dazzling wall painting were uncovered. Key you made sense of in the explanation. Here a head, there a line, here a chevron, there a petal. However, it was obvious to them that they were checking out at a canvas from way back to the Tudor period. Also, in no time, the full size of the wonderful disclosure was uncovered. 2 days were dispensed to the preservation group nearby to eliminate the later mortar by and large and perceive how much stayed underneath. Key proceeded. The mortar had gone in there on each of the 3 walls. Before me was a disclosure key added, as yet faltering from the revelation. As per Stanford Wall, artistic creations were somewhat normal among princely homes during the Tudor time frame. Yet something on the size of the Calverley Old Corridor fresco is a lot more uncommon. Key expressed. Never in my own 27 years of working in notable structures have I at any point saw a revelation like this. Indeed, little grabs of embellishing painting more than once. Key proceeded. However, a whole painted chamber totally lost a memory, a time machine to the age of the reorganization and the Virgin Sovereign. She reviewed. We were totally gobsmacked to see these. You are consistently aware of the likelihood that there may be painted enhancement, yet finding an entire Elizabeth and painted chamber in such immaculate condition is shocking. It is very thrilling, Stanford added, and it wasn't simply the size of the fine art that left the specialists speechless. As per Stanford, the Calverley Old Corridor works of art are in a style known as unusual, making them undeniably more mind-boggling than most of other Tudor relics. What the man had found, it turned out, were the remaining parts of the Domus Aurea, a terrific chateau built by Sovereign Nero in the 1st century promotion, once dribbling in quite a while in marble. The extraordinary castle had been lost for over 1,000 years. On the walls of the Domus Aurea were various Roman frescoes, similar to nothing that individuals of Renaissance Europe had seen previously. Furthermore, throughout the long term, endless specialists, including Michelangelo and Raphael, visited the craftsmanships by sliding on snags into the vestiges. In the end, antiquarians accept the plans advanced toward the Netherlands and Germany, where they motivated diamond setters, goldsmiths, and specialists. In any case, how could they go the entire way to Calverley Old Loddy in Yorkshire in such a somewhat short space of time? All things considered, specialists accepted that the wall artistic creations could date from as soon as 1514. Specialists realized the Troman-roused craftsmanships were famous in England during the rule of Henry VIII, and a few models dating to the 1520s have been found. Furthermore, despite the fact that development on Calverley Old Corridor's parlor block started in 1514, the wall artistic creations probably won't have been added until quite a few years subsequently. In any case, specialists are certain that the craftsmanship's an amazingly early illustration of bizarre Tudor plan. However, who precisely paid for the production of the painted chamber? As per Stanford, William Calverley, the time who once extended the entire to oblige as many children is the most probable up-and-comer. Whoever it was, they absolutely had an eye for detail. As per reports, the wall painting has been fastidiously intended to zigzag all around the structure's lumber outlines. Somewhere else, a frieze of pomegranates might have been painted to pay tribute to Catherine of Aragon, Henry VI's most memorable spouse, who involved the natural product as her image, quite possibly of history's most renowned despised lady. As indicated by John Ingram's 1897 book, The Spooky Homes and Family Customs of Incredible England, the wall works of art were as yet noticeable in 1605, during the haziest time of the habits elapsed, and they would have borne witness when Walter Calverley, purportedly headed to franticness by obligation, killed his 2 children. Right up to the present day, there are some who accept that the apparition of Walter Calverley's actually torment his previous home. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated with our latest videos, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that red button below and become a part of our channel family.